How do you decide if you are doing the Drawabox exercises correctly? The Drawabox site encourages you to submit your homework for review, but what if you want to decide for yourself? In this video, let's look at where you can find other people's homework and the reviews that go with it. I'm also going to review my organic arrows homework and draw an organic arrow. You don't need to be a rocket scientist to find other people's homework on the Drawabox site. In each lesson, right above Submit Homework for Review, there is a View Homework Submissions button. Setting the filters requires a bit more thought. Choose the lesson you are working on, then I set Show Completed Submissions and one or both of Show Community Submissions and Show Official Submissions. Then click Save Filter. You can then drill down. There is a link to the homework and you can read the critiques. I find it useful to compare my homework with other people's. It is also helpful to see if the reviewers' comments apply to your work. The community reviews seem more thoughtful than the official ones for this exercise. Another useful place to look is ScyllaStew's channel. She has a video of her doing the arrows homework and a lot of the other Lesson 2 homework. But her last video was from 2 years ago, so she may not have progressed past this point. The organic arrows homework is the first homework in Lesson 2 of Drawabox. It comes immediately after the 250 box challenge. The first part of Lesson 2 is about thinking in 3D and telling a convincing lie so the viewer believes they are looking at a three-dimensional object, not just a bunch of lines on a piece of paper. The first step in telling the convincing lie is believing it yourself. You need to believe the arrows are twisting in and out of the paper. This is my homework. After comparing it to some submissions and reviews, I think it is just about a pass, a C maybe. Some of the line work seems shaky in comparison to others, but there is a clear understanding of the concepts, which is better than in some of the submissions I looked at. The first sheet is on the left. The most noticeable issue is I didn't plan this arrow and it ended up off the page. On the second sheet, my fine liner ran out on the first arrow and I swapped from a Winsor & Newton fine liner to a uni pin. Until now, I thought the different brands of fine liners were pretty interchangeable, but I struggled with the uni pin. Maybe it is just new and needs some time to wear in, but it might be interesting to do a comparison of different fine liners. Apart from the line quality, the other problem with my homework is I am not overlapping the lines enough in the distance. I am changing the width of the ribbon. When it is thinner, it appears further away. But I also need to make the negative space between the folds get narrower in the distance. The easiest way to achieve this is to make the bends in the curve tighter when the ribbon is further away. You can see on the left, the radius of the curves getting bigger as the ribbon comes towards us. On the right, in my homework, the radius of the curve stays about the same, giving a less convincing lie. I'm going to draw another arrow and see if I can achieve more overlap. I'm already warmed up. There is a link to a video about warming up in the description and at the end of this video. I am using a 0.5mm Unipin fine liner and some scrap print paper. I'm going to base my arrow on this one from the example homework. I start by imagining a line snaking towards me and by trying to remember to keep the first couple of curves tight. Not too bad, but I wish I'd kept those first curves even tighter. Now I try to draw the same curve again, but increasing the width of the ribbon as it comes closer. I didn't realise I was drawing this slowly, but it explains why the line seems a bit shaky. I am thinking about how the middle of the ribbon is curving so I can position the end of the arrowhead. I draw the arrowhead, ghosting each line before I draw it. Connect the two edges of the ribbon on the apex of each bend. And at the end. I add a bit of shading on the inside of each bend. I am conscious of my tendency to overshoot, so I do most of the shading from the wrist. This is a bad habit. I should accept any wonkiness and draw all the shading with good lines. I will try to remember this. The last step is to add some extra line weight on the overlaps to emphasize which part of the ribbon is in front of the other. I ghost the first bend, but it's not a smooth curve, so I end up tracing over it, which makes the line even less smooth. To make matters worse, the pen is dragging on the buildup of ink in the shading and is repeatedly thrown off course. I compensate by applying way too much pressure, which makes things even worse. I need to think about all of this before drawing any more arrows. This is painful to watch. This is it. It's better than any of the arrows in my original homework, but there is still lots of room for improvement. Thank you for watching. I hope this is useful. Please leave me a comment to let me know how I can make this channel more useful. And please let me know if the footage of the Drawabox website was in focus. I am using the Xbox game bar to screen capture. The footage looks fine on my PC and iPhone, but is out of focus on a friend's iPad. If you have the same problem, please let me know, or even better, if you know how to solve the problem, please tell me. Here is a link to a video about warming up before drawing.